here's a look at how I make claws and how I attach them. So I use 24 gauge wire, and then what I'm going to do is cut about 2 inches worth on each of these, and I'm doing 20 of them because I am doing bare feet for mine. And so a lot of that wire is going to get cut off, and we're also using cold porcelain. So a lot of that wire is getting cut off because you just want something to hold on to as you put the cold porcelain on there. So you don't have to use cold porcelain. You could use another air dry or oven baked clay, whatever you choose. So I take and I just do a slight bend for where the claw goes. I take some of that clay, just a small little chunk, roll it on my fingers, and then I place it on there. To ensure that all your claws are the same length, it is wise to go ahead and make the same size balls for each of your wires. That helps guarantee that they're going to be the same. But I did not do that for this, but that is all right. So I go ahead and just kind of squeeze it on there, make my claw shape. And then once I do one, of course, I'm going to go ahead and do the next 19 that I have to do. And then you want to have these dry and then paint them. Depending on the size of your claw, I do recommend doing a primer on them as well. That primer can be as simple as using Elmer's glue. Or a PVA glue of some sort. Once your clay is dry, you can go ahead and paint it. And I'm doing black, of course, because for the bear I'm creating, I want slightly black claws, but you can paint any color you like. And then once that is dry, we'll go ahead and start attaching. But first, we actually need to make our paw, or, I'm making a bear paw, so whatever paw you're making for your animal. And to do that, you're just going to go ahead and take a fluff of wool, and I do the initial pad, and I make it fairly thick. Thick enough that I can stick these wires into it. So mine is probably, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch thick in the end. And then I start adding my wire in. To attach the claws, I'm going to go ahead and use an awl, and I'm going to use a glue stick. I am going to trim each of these wires to a much shorter length. So from where the claw is, I trim it to about 1/4 of an inch. And so you can save those wires if you want for another project just like this. And then I go ahead and poke a hole. I start in the middle with my awl, and I add a little bit of glue from the glue stick to that wire. And then I poke it in, and then it should fit in there fairly easy. If not, it usually means that the paw that you made is not felted well enough. That's usually my sign. And then go ahead and continue on poking your claws into each of these spots. And then once you do that, you want to go ahead and finish up your foot. I show just a little bit of how I'm finishing up mine. I don't show the whole process. Once again, it is a bear foot. Because of the way I'm displaying my bear, I am not adding pads to the bottom of this one, but if you want pads for your feet, you could go ahead and do those with clay fairly simply by rolling out more of that clay. Whether it's air dry or oven bake, you can put it right on there. You can, if you want, use oven baked clay and add it to the bottom of your paw and bake that whole thing in the oven, wool and all. I do this on a regular basis and have never had an issue. Just bake it not like you normally would. Just make sure it's not very close to your elements.